story. A friend of mine texted me last night and was like, "Hey, I really want to come to Nashville and visit you. When are you staying put for longer than a week?" And I'm like, "This week, this week. I'm here this week."
Oh,
So,
that's fine. Like I have to come to Nashville for work, as you know, and
oh, by the way, I'm glad you blocked it off because I had an opportunity to do a trip during that time, and I already blocked it off. Or I would have been like,
but I kept
"Sorry."
struggling with where to put it because I'm like,
I know. There are not enough weeks in the year. Not
there
enough.
are not, and I'm trying to figure out my end of the year. Hi, Blaine. Good morning.
Hello.
Pam, Jay, Brian. I'm trying to squeeze in another trip because I think Jeff is actually in the same category as you are on that gold medallion run. I mean, he's a little behind you, but another long haul I think could put him there.
I'm pretty sure I'm gold after my next trip. If I did the math correctly, if I'm not, I will be so I'll hit gold this year. Like I will hit it this year.
Oh, JJ Cruz is in here. You guys stirred up some drama that we're going to be talking about later in this broadcast.
We are discussing the JJ drama. Good
You two need to
morning.
retire. Work is getting in the way. I agree. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Emmy. Richard, good morning. Miss Q, Pam, Josh Crothers.
Good
Man,
morning,
everybody
everybody.
is in here today. Ready to rock and
Everybody
roll.
is here. Everybody grab grandma, and we have a lot to discuss. We have
We
a few more
do.
minutes before we'll go live. Who all's in here? Let's see. Miss
I think we
Pam,
got everybody.
Brian. Let's see. Miss Q, Richard,
Joshua,
Emmy, Josh Crothers, Mr. Tinky. Hello, everybody.
Tony's
Hello.
here. Welcome.
Grandma's and yeah, Brian, grandma's smart because she said, "I'm not going home for 2 weeks and then going back to Greece. I'm just gonna
Yeah, she's doing a
staying."
back to back to back
Right.
in Greece. Oh my goodness. I am just, these next few weeks are just going to be wild.
Same.
It's going to be
The same.
insane.
This will be the last time for a few weeks we're both home at the same time.
I know. I know.
Oh gosh.
You know, it was so weird. I was telling Jason, you guys, that him and I have talked like when I've been 6 hours ahead in like Paris or like when I was in Italy. And the 6 hours was like not too bad. But for some reason, the 7 hours ahead in Greece compared to me was a struggle. I don't know why that extra hour was a struggle, but I was frequently like sitting on like the couch at, 7 o'clock. And I'm like, let me text Jason this. And I'm like, it's 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, Haley. You can't text Jason this.
I woke up every morning to like lots of text, and I'd wake up at 6 or 7 and be like, "Hey, good morning," and people were like, "Are you still awake, or have you gone to bed?" And he woke up. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I went to bed."
Oh, I know. But I'm very excited. I think we have some cool things to show everybody. And it's kind of like that last push because September is generally such a slow month with kids going back to school, people getting back into their schedule. So this is the last haul for all you travel junkies that are watching vicariously through others making your next plans. This is like that last push, I think.
It is. Well, it is top of the hour.
It is.
So good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. It is 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central Time, and this is Today in Travel. If you are new to our little community, Haley and I do a weekly travel show every Tuesday morning. Same time, we bring you all the news on all things travel, not just the good news. We bring you the good, the bad, the ugly, and the fun of everything travel related.
Fair, balanced,
Cruises,
and unafraid.
fair, balanced, and unafraid. I am Jason Poole. I'm a travel advisor with Cruise Planners, an American Express travel representative. I love cruising, it's my passion. And my other areas of expertise are all inclusive resorts and European land travel. But the side across from me, I should say, the digital divide, She's an expert in everything that I'm not. We're great for each other. Good morning. How are you doing, Miss Haley?
I can't wait for us to eventually go live our Golden Girls life in our
I can't either. Right.
in our later years. Yes. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Haley Whiting. I am a travel blogger. I also own a hotel sales consulting company. I've been in hotels for 14 years, hundreds of hotels, all different brands. That is my background. And I love travel of all forms. I love cruising. I'm kind of obsessed with Europe right now, but I will gladly do all of it. So if you are watching, we are on Haps and we are multicasting to YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch.
Twitch.
So
I got a second subscriber.
Share this with your friends and followers. We greatly appreciate it. We're about to hit 500 in our nice little group here. So excited. So that would be great. And like Jason said, we're here every Tuesday. So Jason, let's kick off with a little recap before we hop into our normal agenda. Let's talk Greece. We joke that you've been to Greece twice now, and I've been to Paris twice now, and neither of us have been able to do the other.
I know.
What can you expect on a Greek Isles cruise?
So it was fantastic, guys. So I've done the Greek Isles before. I've never done it out of Athens. So we flew into Athens, spent one night in Athens pre-cruise. We did the 7-night Greek Isles and Croatia sailing on the brand new, beautiful Celebrity Apex. So that's the new Edge class ship. It was ready last year. No one was on it. We were just the 8th cruise the Apex had done.
We were supposed to do the inaugural cruise.
I remember. It was like
with Jane,
like the British Isles or something, I think. So it was fantastic. Flying into Greece was pretty easy. It was kind of sad when I got there because the fires were very present. Like the sky was like orange, and the air was just thick. When we were flying in, I was like, "Oh, is that a volcano? Oh my God, that's the smoke." So that was sad.
Mm-hmm.
Going through customs immigration was super easy. We had to have a health form. You could have showed them your car warranty. It would have worked the same. They just, it was a joke, right? But going through security was easy.
It was like in Paris too. Like we had all of our vaccine and tests, and they're just like,
stamp. Thanks. Welcome to Greece. Off we went. We stayed at the Grand Hyatt for one night. I typically don't like staying at American properties overseas. I typically like boutique hotels overseas. But Athens is not my favorite city in the world. So I just kind of wanted the security and comfort of an American brand. We stayed at the Grand Hyatt, which we'll talk about the Hyatt family in just a moment. Big news there.
Well,
went to a really nice dinner in Athens. Woke up, went on the cruise. They did a rapid test at the terminal for everybody, which I think is a really good idea. I mean, I think that is a really, you have to show your vaccine card and do a rapid test. If for some reason you tested positive, they would then do a PCR test, just to confirm, because there are false positives with the rapid test. We got on board. Ship was beautiful, right? We only had like 800 or so passengers on board. We went to Mykonos, Santorini, Rhodes, and the highlight of the trip was me being shocked with Dubrovnik in Croatia.
That is on my list. Like I've actually wanted to go like land trip Croatia actually myself.
I will be honest, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that, right? Croatia wasn't even on my radar. And people kept messaging me like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna love Dubrovnik," and I'm just like, okay.
Maybe.
I don't know why I was thinking we were going to like Bosnia or somewhere. I mean, which is funny because we saw Bosnia. Like, see that house in the mountain? That's Bosnia. And I was like, oh, well, that counts. I can check that one off the list.
So was it like,
You're gonna get us pulled off. You're gonna get us pulled off YouTube. But we had this private tour, just our small little group, the 5 of us, and we went like up a mountain, saw a bunch of spots where they filmed a lot of stuff from Game of Thrones. We got to look up high from the old city down, and then we did a tour of the old city, walked around. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. It was actually pretty busy because there was a Norwegian ship, an MSC ship, and then the Celebrity Apex there. So like
Oh,
walking around,
that's a healthy busy.
it was. So walking around, it felt normal for a moment.
Well,
And it
normally
was
people complain because that little area gets jam packed when those ships
oh,
are full.
it was actually busy, right? Like so walking around the entrance to the old city was full. But I learned a lot of neat things, like the word quarantine comes from Dubrovnik, where they made people quarantine for 40 days. That's where the word comes from. We saw like
Oh,
we saw the building where they house people from the plague to make sure they were okay. They had there for 40 days. That's where the
that's
word
really funny considering the world.
oh well, so that's what they so it was just really a fascinating trip. Mykonos, we had to do our own. We had to do a ship excursion. Womp womp. Beautiful.
Oh,
It was still beautiful. Santorini, we rented a private catamaran, just the five of us. I'm sure you guys saw a photo or two that I posted online.
200? No, just
I I posted a lot.
it's
Um,
probably a good thing I wasn't in Dubrovnik with you because I just would have been behind you. I would have brought a bell.
oh,
For
I had the app. I had the app on
Yeah,
my
I
phone.
have an app, but I would buy
Shame,
a bell.
shame.
Shame,
we
shame.
actually we walked up the steps where it was filmed, and it's crazy how cinematographers must be great at their job, but there were so many venues that was like it looked very small. Like this is the steps where Cersei walked down the Walk of Atonement, and it's not very big, but they did such a great job with angles, computer, like the graphics. I was like, wow. It almost made me appreciate the those scenes even more, considering like they showed some scenes like, hey, this is where Joffrey got thrown tomatoes, like they were walking through, and I was like, this isn't really that big of a space, but they just did.
What they do with
It was amazing. Um, had a great time. So unfortunately, when we were on board, my group cruise on the Celebrity Summit Labor Day got canceled because of a new CDC rule. I know you guys talked about this last week on the show, and so we decided, you know what? Mamma mia, here we go again. I'm flying back to Greece in 9 days to do it again.
I know, I'm so jealous. I hate some of those rules because that's the sailing I was looking to do with
I
you,
know. I
but
know.
I couldn't put three in a cabin with my daughter. So we'll get to my my situation next. There is a question: where are your photos living from this trip? I know you had a lot on Instagram stories. Are you going to be posting some on Facebook in the group, maybe?
Oh, I could. Yeah, I could. Yes, I could. I don't. I posted it to my
So
personal
today in
Facebook
travel
page.
is where these photos are going to live because we've had some people on trips posting great photos in there.
Okay.
So if you guys are on a trip, feel free to post photos. We
You
like
know
to
what?
encourage travel.
I will do a better job in a week and a half. I'll post some more in our group because we're doing it again, like a madman.
Shame.
Okay. um, we were in a retreat. All of us were in suites, so that was great to see. Another sailing with celebrities retreat, and their suite class is just amazing. Like private restaurant, every suite gets a butler or a personal retreat host, as they're called. We get access to the suite sun deck. I mean, it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. I'm so spoiled. I have drank the retreat Kool-Aid when it comes to celebrity, and I'll be announcing
No.
I know, I'll be announcing a
No.
summer 2022 celebrity group very soon this week. So stay tuned.
Oh my goodness. Well, I love it. I need to do it probably next year on this group you're talking about. Might
Okay.
be my aim. But actually, there is one thing I want to bring up because of what you and I discussed. I've wanted to go to Greece for a long time. I think that's kind of like a bucket list cruise for people is Greek Isles.
Yeah, I would agree.
And I don't know if I can go outside of the month of May, maybe June,
Okay.
because it looked quite hot.
It look, the world is literally warming and it's on fire. Everywhere is getting hot. July was the hottest month in recorded human history ever. So the world's getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Dubrovnik was pretty hot. Mykonos was warm because it wasn't windy. Mykonos is known as the windy island, but it was not windy that day, which is unusual. When we were in Santorini, it was very windy and it actually felt it was, don't get me wrong, it was hot, but it was very pleasant and it was not that bad. The only really tough day was Dubrovnik, just walking and walking, and it actually got to me. We were all getting a little snippy and cranky, just hot. But
well, I felt that way just being in Dallas while you were getting ready to go there and working that trade show, even though it was inside and air conditioned. Right. It was just, that heat going outside after it's a lot and need to hydrate. All right, let's get started with the
lots of water.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Let's get started with the regular agenda. We're going to go over hot travel topics, list of countries you can travel to, travel tip of the day, the questions of the day, who's traveling, etc. So let's hop into it. The first one, this blew your mind last night. I sent you this article. Yeah, Hyatt's going to become the largest luxury all-inclusive operator in the world.
I am pretty excited about this, guys, because Hyatt is my personal brand of choice when it comes to hotels. And they are spending $2.7 billion to purchase a pretty large portfolio of all-inclusive resorts. They're using words like all-inclusive luxury resorts. Guys, let's be honest, some of these properties they're buying, I would not call luxury. Some of them are 3 stars, and 3 stars in the all-inclusive world is not great. So I will be very anxious, and I'm curious to see, is Hyatt gonna pull a flag for some of these places, or are they going to require them to get up to the Hyatt level of service? What do you think is gonna happen? Do you think all of these properties will stay open? Do you think Hyatt will force them to get better? Do you think they'll just close some or sell some off to different companies like a Ryu? What do you think is going to happen?
So in the hotel world, how do I want to put this? I've stayed at some of these lower properties of what they've done. I've done a Secrets, and it was great. You guys all saw me do a Secrets. I was literally there like a year ago.
Yep.
It's nice. Like I would put it. She's gonna yell at me for being snobby here. I would put it at a Holiday Inn level, like a generic, full service, older Holiday Inn level when it comes to quality of food. The people are super nice. Service was good. The food was somewhere between mediocre and good. But I just know that Hyatt, especially having the smaller portfolio that they typically do, is how they're able to keep that brand consistency really tight. I don't think some of these hotels would make that cut. I think it's going to come into a PIP situation because remember, a lot of these hotels are also individually owned and franchised.
Yep.
It's going to be, hey, you have until 2023 to get your hotel up to this standard or you're going to lose the flag. I think it's exciting because I do think some of these resorts do have potential, just that little oomph. And I think it's even more exciting for World of Hyatt members to be able to earn and spend points potentially on this portfolio of hotels. So I think it's great. I could see Hyatt pulling some flags, like I said.
Me too.
I think that's a nice boost because typically the Hyatt Traveler is a bit more in that higher premium category. I think this is a nice little add-on because one of the downsides to the Hyatt portfolio and to your World of Hyatt members is the lack of locations.
I agree. Like I love Hyatt, but there's just lots of places where they just aren't, or it's only a Hyatt place. right? Like, I want to stay at a Grand Hyatt in City X, and sometimes they just aren't there.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's kind of, I think that goes for a lot of people, like especially us that travel very widely. Like you have that preference, but there's a lot of people like, oh, I love JetBlue, for example. It's like I love JetBlue too. They just don't go a lot of places that I tend to go, so that's not where my loyalty is going to lie.
Right. Right.
But I think that could kind of sway a little bit because what people don't realize is, they're making a big deal of because Hyatt spent $2.7 billion on this deal. And they're like, Hyatt's betting on luxury. And to be honest, it's a safe bet because going through this pandemic, the people that stay at luxury resorts aren't the people that were necessarily as affected during this whole situation. That's why the luxury segment has continued to grow at a very rapid pace because you have that luxury travel, especially on the high earning. We're talking like heading closer to 1%. They're just buying out resorts to feel safe. That's what we saw a lot in the beginning of this pandemic. So I think it's a safe bet. I think it's exciting to see. I mean, I could go on for a long time on this topic.
No, I think it's super exciting, but I stay tuned. But it was a shock last night.
Betting on Rick, Jason, and Ken to keep them propped up.
I do like Hyatt. I do like Hyatt.
It is. It's a nice product. I'm not going to knock it. Let's see here. CDC adds 4 destinations to the high risk list. I think it's very important to point out that this should not cause panic to you if you have travels to locations that are on these lists.
Oh,
guess where the U.S. sits on other countries' lists of.
and right before I went to Greece was added to this. And look, this isn't a vaccine show. But this is really turning into the pandemic of the unvaccinated. So I'll just move along.
It is. Well, I saw something else last week too, where Florida was added as like it was like a worldwide list of the top 5 most dangerous places to travel right now.
I mean, so being serious, when the Celebrity Summit group cruise got canceled, I was like, hey guys, we can look at Celebrity Edge out of Florida or Celebrity Apex out of Greece. The Apex was $100 less expensive. Now, flights are obviously more. The 10-hour flight is not nothing. The jet lag is not nothing. But I thought I would rather cruise on a ship where everybody has to be vaccinated versus cruising out of Florida, which is just crazy right now. So I decided let's pay $100 less, go back to the Greek Isles, and be on a ship where every adult is required to be vaccinated. So
I hear you. That's part of the hand in my decision as well.
Yes. So,
and I mean, I still have that weekender out of Florida that I'm kind of like, I don't know. We'll see. All right, next topic. Now, this is a country we haven't been able to talk too much about. They've been very, very strict. They've came out with rules that if you're a German citizen and you don't get vaccinated, you're going to start paying for tests. They have the same passport that you can't go to gyms and stuff like that unless you're vaccinated. This country has not screwed around from the beginning and has been very hesitant with travel coming in. So they're requiring, if you're coming from the U.S., you got to have the shot.
So Germany has declared the United States a high-risk country. And if you want to visit, you have to be fully vaccinated, just period. And I think this is going to be just the way of the world for some time, minus Florida. I think this is just going to be how it is. That if you want to travel, you have to be vaccinated, which leads us right to our next story, which I hope we see more of this. The Canadian government is announcing a vaccine mandate for air travel. So if you want to travel via air, you have to be vaccinated, like period. So I think that is fantastic to our neighbors from the north. This traveling on an aircraft is not a right, it is a privilege. So I have no problems with this whatsoever.
I like
Bravo.
I like it too. Freedom of choice does not mean freedom of consequence.
Right. So,
So
and
I like it.
a clarification there, it's also going to be rail or large ships as well. So air, rail, and large ships to be fully vaccinated by the fall. So Emmy, I see you at Emmy in here. Well done, Canada. I think that's very, very smart.
Well, that's going to lead me into our next slide, which is our country slide, because there are some updates on here.
Okay.
So if you look over in the no COVID list column, Italy and Germany are in here, but there is an asterisk. So Germany, obviously, you can't typically go unless you're vaccinated. So as long as you're vaccinated, there's no test now. Same with Italy. And I wrote a blog article last week on this because there's so many question marks and there was a lot of confusion based on my Instagram quizzes that I put out to people. For Italy, for example, the only time that you need to get a test to go is if you're not vaccinated. If you're vaccinated, you don't need the test to go, which I think alleviates some of that stress now that locations are doing that. So little asterisks there, but some updates on this slide. I'm very excited about it.
But before we move on, as a travel professional, if you are traveling to a country where a test is not required, I still strongly recommend taking a test before you travel. Going into Greece, a COVID test is not required. You only have to show proof of vaccination. But I think being a traveler is you have a responsibility during a pandemic to make sure you are not spreading COVID to the people on a plane, a cruise ship, etc. And especially if you're getting on a cruise where they're going to rapid test you at the terminal, I would rather find out I have COVID and asymptomatic in Nashville instead of sitting at the cruise terminal in Athens. So,
and I think I almost prefer to have something on hand because things are just changing.
When I checked into my flight to go to Athens, the Delta agent said, "Can I see your COVID test?" And I said, "Yes, just so you know, the vaccine is required or a COVID test, not both." And she was like, "Oh, I'm traveling to Greece in a couple weeks. I didn't know that." So I just was glad that I had the COVID test to hand to someone if they wanted to see it. And a Delta agent asked for it.
So Kara actually asked a great question that I can and you can touch on this too. Is there fine prints for kids who cannot be vaccinated? I travel with a child and have traveled with a child that is 11. She cannot get a vaccine yet. So for example, the cruise that I'm about to go on, everybody 12 and up is required to have a vaccine. Under that, you have to do the same COVID test that we all have to do before we go for this cruise. She has to COVID test at the port, at the pier, and she has to do a third one. For countries like France and Italy, as long as your child is under that 12-year-old mark and traveling with vaccinated parents, that's the case. However, in Germany, the unvaccinated child, even traveling with vaccinated parents, has to do a 5-day quarantine. So that, it depends on location, but I think a lot of countries have kind of made that like, okay, they're traveling with vaccinated parents, these people kind of have a sense to some health, I guess.
Right.
But have you encountered any questions like that? Do you know what Greece is on the under 12 policy?
Off the top of my head, I don't. But I'll be honest, you're the only person I know that's taking a child traveling. None of my other clients are taking their children.
Yeah. And it just, it's all location dependent. I mean, and I fully expect to keep my child, and we did the same thing in France. She was in a mask.
Yeah.
Most of the time, and you're just thankful to be able to go someplace. So
yeah.
She's ready for hers though. She keeps every time I talk to her, she's like, "Can I get this yet?" All right, our question of the day is Clear worth it? You and I both have the American Express Platinum card. Correct. Which means we get the credit now. Is it worth it?
So I'll be honest, when I came home from Greece, I went Athens, JFK, Nashville. had to go through customs. With global entry, it took me 2 seconds. Like, it didn't even ask for my passport. It just took a picture and was like,
The
bam.
walk in JFK is longer than it takes you to get through the line.
I was actually with Rick, who was in here, and I was thinking, oh my God, this is a haul.
Remember, I told you that in June. I was like, it was a 15-minute walk before I got
I was like, good Lord, it took a while. Global entry took 2 seconds. It even asked for my passport. Literally scanned the picture, printed the receipt. It was so fast. They didn't even ask for the passport. I was like, is it done? Okay. So get my luggage. You have to recheck your bags. I have to go through security again. And the TSA pre-check line was kind of long at JFK. And I was like, dang it. And I looked over and saw clear. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot. I
knew this.
It took me 2 seconds, scanned my ID. They took me to the front of the line. It saved me quite a bit of time at JFK. So I think clear is worth it if you are flying frequently through large, busy airports. Nashville, the TSA pre-check line is never long, right? I wouldn't worry about it in that. But coming through JFK was very helpful. And if you are flying with an airline that supports it. So right now it is United and Delta only. So if you are loyal to American, or you typically only fly like JetBlue,
Better matters.
You do see like Southwest runs domestically. I don't think clear is worth it. But if you're Delta or United, you fly through major airports, I think clear is worth it.
It is. And I think it's also based on frequency.
Yeah, I would agree. Yep.
Frequency. So if you are a once-a-year traveler and you don't have the platinum card, because it's $179, if I recall correctly.
Sounds right.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it. So one of the neat things, so somebody mentioned here clear or pre-check. I say both because I just hate lines in general.
I do both, right?
So you can do both, because at some of those bigger airports, the pre-check line can be quite substantial. And with pre-check, if you have kids that are 12 and under, they can ride on your pre-check. So if you have a mom going through with 3 little kids, that can be a little time consuming, even though it's a pre-check line. One of the things I would love to bring up, if you are a family that travels frequently and maybe per se you can't afford the extra pre-check, this is a nice feature because kids under 18 are free. And to add the additional adult is $59. Now, keep in mind, this is a yearly subscription service, but, that's a great option if you're a family with a bunch of kids and you know how long that regular line gets.
Right.
It's a pretty nice feature. Yeah. So I like it if you travel a couple times a year. I think it could be worth it out of major airports. Like my airport here doesn't have it, but man, I fly to Orlando, Miami, Seattle again coming up here. That is a nice feature. And it can also be combined with mobile passport in some locations when you come back clearing customs. Mobile passport is pretty quick, not quite as fast as global entry, but it's pretty quick. So that's another great way to expedite.
Look, I'm with you. I hate lines. I'm a TSA pre-check, clear, global entry. Just avoid as many lines as possible.
Clear wins the line department 95% of the time, says Rick.
Yeah, I agree.
Travel tip of the day. I actually talked with Jarvis about this. I talked with you about it this morning. I know it is very easy to want to delete all those promotional emails that World of Hyatt, Hilton Honors, Marriott Bonvoy send out because you're like, oh my God, stop blowing up my email. But they're worth a click because inside of these, there are extra promotions. And when I say extra promotions, Hyatt's right now, it's on my blog. If you stay 2 nights between now and September, they're tripling your points.
Right.
And you don't automatically get that just by being a member. You have to register for that promotion. So you could be missing out on bonus offers. Sometimes there's offers for, stay the 5th night free. I know that they're tedious, but it is worthwhile to check your email for those promotions.
There was a promotion in Hyatt the other day, the one we were just talking about. I opened it, happened to read it. And all I had to do was just click the email, click something at Hyatt.com, and I was automatically enrolled for some bonus points.
Absolutely. And especially right now, it's really key to pay attention to those because everybody's trying to win your loyalty right now. That's why all of these big companies, Delta, American, Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, they're trying to lure you with loyalty status.
They are.
To their brand. So take advantage of all of these extra point promotions going on right now.
I mean, look at the airlines with all of their accelerators and multipliers for MQDs, MQMs. I mean, it's just, yeah, they're just really trying to win your loyalty. I agree.
Absolutely. And right now is a great time to maximize so you can have a really great 2022.
I agree.
Hi, Peter. Thank you for the award. So now comes the controversy. We have our community question of the day. If you want to be our featured community question of the day, you have to be part of Today in Travel. So today comes from Pam. Comments on JJ Cruise's latest video announcement that they won't sail Carnival because they felt the protocols were unsafe. You are the resident cruise expert. I'm a cruise lover. I will call you the expert always, Jason. I'm going to defer this start to you.
I agree with JJ Cruises completely. When I saw the first sailings on Carnival, the sail away on the pool deck where people were on top of each other out of Florida where vaccines are not required, on a cruise line that's not requiring masks to be worn on the ship, for a cruise line that has self-serve buffet still as an option, I think Carnival is being reckless. I think they are being irresponsible. I think they're being stupid. And
it goes along with what you and I have always preached. You need to align your travels with travel partners that value the same type of.
It is as if the Carnival Corporation forgot which cruise lines first got the COVID on their ships, and they couldn't. HBO has a documentary about the Princess ship, which couldn't dock, which is Carnival's sister brand. They're in the same company. I don't know. Carnival as a company is so worried about COVID. Holland America is still not even sailing. Okay.
Yeah, because their second ship just went out in Europe. It was, which one was it? Eurodam.
Out of America. And but yet on the whaletail ships, they're gonna fill it to capacity, no mask required, no vaccine required. Like, what are they thinking? So
it almost like angers me because it's like, this is going to ruin it for everyone else.
Well, so I actually almost disagree. I think it's going to make the Royal Caribbean Group and Norwegian look like they know what in the heck they're doing. Okay? I mean, Jarvis said it perfectly in here. Arnold Donald, please Google the Diamond Princess. And he's right. So I have a lot of respect for Carnival because they are clearly successful pre-pandemic as a company. They're not the brand of choice for me as a consumer. They're not the choice of brand for me as a travel advisor. But how can you not respect their ability to provide a product that a lot of people want? Well, you have to be smart right now. The Royal Caribbean Group could sell their ships at a much higher capacity, but they're not. You've noticed when some of these sailings, they close a month, 2 months, 3 months before sailing, they're closed.
And they're also being more restrictive on the occupancy in the cabins. Like, I've had a more difficult time, even though it's just a child is my triple, finding triple occupancy.
I agree. I agree. And so you look at what they're doing. You look at what Norwegian's doing. Norwegian, I mean, actually, Ken just beat me to it. Norwegian, what they're doing, and Carnival is being. I just. I just don't.
Jordan on here, thankfully was a nice guest host while you were in Greece from JJ Cruise. And we talked about the NCL lawsuit. And I won't lie, looking at a sailing with my daughter, like I might take a peek because I kind of respect the sailings.
I do too. I mean, the state of Florida is appealing the judge's decision. I saw that earlier. So, I mean, it's going to be litigated.
I mean, we expected that. It's still going to be a circus, but.
So I am to the point as a travel advisor, I cannot, in good conscience, recommend any Carnival sailings to any client anywhere in the world right now. I just think they are being completely reckless. And my opinion of the brand has never been lower, ever.
Yeah, I remember sending you pictures on that first sailing that went out, and I was texting Jared and Jordan who were on that sailing, and I was just like, is it really that full? They're like, yeah, it's kind of eerie, and the whole buffet thing. I mean, working in catering in my early hotel life, I think buffets are disgusting.
I have a friend that is on board the Mardi Gras doing some of the visual equipment stuff. And he says he is terrified to be on the ship. He said he's wearing his mask. He's going to his job in the theater and avoiding everybody, going right to his room. And he's like, I don't like being on this ship. Like, no one's wearing a mask. People are bragging about not being vaccinated. I mean, it's just they're attracting a certain person who is bragging about not being vaccinated, who doesn't want to wear a mask and doesn't want to social distance. I just think it is. I'm sorry. I need to calm down. I could go.
No, it's not. It's true. I mean, like, I think of that when I say ruining things for people. Think of that family that's been cooped up, that wants to travel for the first time, and they only have X amount of dollars to do it. Like Carnival has we've always joked that it's like it's almost everybody's first cruise.
I did it when I was in high school. I did it in high school.
I did as well. That was my first ever sailing. I was 10. That it's a beginner level, and to have that beginner level in this environment and this unsafe, that like from a safety point and a visual point and a marketing point, I'm really surprised, and I'm really sad to see the amount of hateful comments that JJ Cruise was getting on this video too. It's not I think it's trashy. It's like, I have a safety concern. Like, there's a fine line between like joking about, status of the cruise line versus health and safety. I can't believe it.
Absolutely. Look, you guys know I am a Royal Caribbean group fan. If Royal Caribbean International or Celebrity Cruises were packing their ships full of unvaccinated people, I would be losing my mind on the Royal Caribbean group. So this is not me hating on Carnival because they're not my cruise line of choice. This is me hating on Carnival because they are being reckless and irresponsible.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I mean, remember when I even went to Vegas in March, it was like, what, pandemic? And I just left certain areas because it was jam-packed. It's a choice. This is why it's very important to pick travel partners that align with your standards. I think it's really unfortunate to see this, but I'm glad that they said it kind of needed to be said.
And no one in Carnival headquarters saw this problem coming. No one.
Well, and then they just had that outbreak amongst crew members too.
I know,
like 27 of them.
I received so many text messages from people. See this about Carnival? See this about Carnival? It's like, yeah, that's why that is one of the sundry reasons why I do not sail Carnival. So we've got to move on, or I will rant on this all.
No, it isn't. But like Kathleen has said, like you and I have preached, even those of us that are vaccinated, you have to be a responsible traveler if you are traveling right now. New York Times released an article that Europeans are preparing to live with this and coming up with standards and guidelines. We both have foreseen I will probably mask up on a plane for a very long time.
Yeah, it's not that big a
deal.
Even
after it's not required. It's not that big of a deal.
It's not that big of a deal.
But you have to respect the policies, respect people around you.
Yeah, I agree.
I just
Is it too early to drink? I need a drink.
I know. I feel like we danced this one. So we have a who's traveling this week.
Okay.
Cruising with JT is currently on the Ovation, but he's handing the Ovation off to me on Friday to do Alaska.
You're doing Alaska?
No.
Oh my goodness.
I know. I have it. See, what's funny is it's officially from roughly right now been 16 years since the last time I did Alaska with my family on Princess. So, part of the decision in that was everybody 12 and up was vaccinated. There's different things and plans for kids that are not. It's a ship I haven't done. And I always vowed that I did this train ride in Skagway when I was 16 with my mother. I'm like, oh God, I got to come back here when I have a good camera. Well, now I have a good camera. The price was right. So very, very excited because there were parts of that class that I didn't get to participate in when I was on Anthem because I was there for a wedding on that sailing. So excited about that. And then JJ Cruise is on the Disney Dream. I'm kind of excited to see how Disney's doing this a bit more.
I'm too.
I've seen vlogs from Disney lovers, but I'm anxious to see like a cruise vlogger do it from more of a cruising standpoint.
I'm excited for that too. And it's not the topic we're discussing, but all these photos I'm seeing from Scarlet Lady are kind of exciting too.
I know.
We'll save the Scarlet Lady for another day, but
yeah, we will. Well, I'm excited for her to come over, but I think kind of with the summit thing tagging, and this should have been a question that we asked. Do you think all of these repost ships are going to have to do that same 14-day?
Yes,
I think so as well.
But the question we need to answer is: does a non-revenue, a deadhead sailing across the ocean with just passengers count as a quarantine? And I don't know the answer.
I feel like it should. I'm going to go out and give my opinion.
I think it should.
I think it should as well. And I mean, it was kind of crazy to assume because everybody at that point would be on a vaccinated ship, vaccinated on that ship anyways. So
I think it should too. I think a deadhead trans-Pacific or transatlantic sailing to the United States should count as a quarantine. But I'm not the CDC. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining. I am so sorry for the rant, but if
we went over today, this is a little longer than normal.
I have to have a call in 2 minutes. I've got to go. But if you guys have any questions, make sure to post them in our Facebook group, todayintravel.live.
And don't forget to share.
Share in there. I'm going to post some photos from Greece in 2 weeks in there. I will, I'm sure Haley will be posting in there from the beautiful Ovation. I cannot wait to see Haley in a bumper car on the Ovation of the Seas.
Well, it lets me hit Jeff legally.
Okay, this is descending into chaos. I've got to go. Guys, thank you so much for joining. We'll see you again next week. I will be here in Nashville. Haley will be sailing on the Ovation of the Seas in Alaska. So stay tuned. Have a great, great Tuesday. Back to work for me.